It will bring a lot of clarity to a subject that I think is very important. Voce Chiusa, developing a gathered sound. In Italy, we say suono chiuso o raccolto to indicate this type of sound. If you're describing a sound, why in the world would you use a word like closed to describe it? It is a sound, after all, and we're describing it in physical terms. Why would we be describing it in physical terms if it's a sound? Would it surprise you to know that suono chiuso emerges from a sense of closure or narrowing that the singer experiences? So today, my job is to help you understand that the specific harmonic selectivity in the bel canto method, or in other words, the very exact timbral qualities that emerge from traditional voice training, the sounds you hear in great singers, are not just their voices, but rather are specific internal adjustments that we must all master in order to polish the harmonic structure of our voices, the quality of our sound. This is why it's also important to listen. You know, Maestro Fisichella talked about listening to singers. We have to devote a huge amount of time to listening to the great singers to create a mental image of their sound. This is really crucial for the mind to begin to map out what a polished sound really sounds like. All right, this is all so confusing at times because we're told that we should sing with an open throat in the position of the beginning of the yawn, which all implies singing open. Often to acquire that yawn, that posture of the yawn, we have to do exercises that seem to open the voice more. So getting the laryngeal tilt that stretches the chords, for example, often it produces a darker, wider sound. Position. So if we're aiming for something that is as wide as a yawn, how can we then suddenly be talking about narrowing and closing? It's like juggling while doing cartwheels. Literally, it's like that. This is why all this can be so elusive and confusing to the developing singer. In order to not get confused, you have to understand what elements make up your technique in bel canto. If I say to you, open your throat, or give me a more focused sound, or you lack point, or you are too chesty, you have to know what I'm talking about or what your teachers are talking about. What specific functions target those qualities? So here are most of the major elements of the technique. And when I say major, I mean that very literally. These are some of the most important elements of technique that you should conceptualize. Let me share a PowerPoint screen here. Narrow larynx. Laryngeal opening. This is today's topic, really. An important element in bel canto technique is the managing of the laryngeal opening. How wide is your larynx? The laryngeal opening is viewed in the tradition as an essential element of singing. You heard Maestro Fisichella talking about this consistently if you participated in his webinar. Suono chiuso. So, our vocal ancestors would say, chi ben chiude, ben apre. Those who close well, open well. If you try to direct air into the mask because that's where you want to place the voice, you will kill the sound. The extra air you are trying to place will just loosen your vocal folds. Especially as you go higher, you have to think even more about not pushing the air. Instead, you must sing on the gentlest of air streams. Remember how Maestro Fisichella said that on the high voice, there's a compression of the sound against the air in the sternum? If you haven't seen Fisichella's webinar, go to mastersofopera.com, get info. It's coming up again, and you can also get it on demand. The higher you go, the more you should think of suppressing any outward push of air. This will help you to develop the lighter mechanism. Once that light mechanism is very secure, you can engage a greater air pressure. You basically learn how to engage the pressure with the light mechanism without making it heavy. You're leaning on the air with the light mechanism, with the light sound, instead of getting more muscled by leaning a heavy mechanism onto the breath. The light mechanism, of course, I must say, that also depends on the range that you're in, because when you're in the low voice, there is a thickening, and so it is not as light. But the light mechanism in general and your attitude of phonation must be a gentle sound. Gentle. It's closed and relatively thin chord. So not open chord. When you're light, you don't open the chords and let more air go. You think more gentle in the phonation. And that relatively thin chord against the air under it, rather than closing the chords, the fat chords, thick, against the air. The gathered position feels like a deep and gentle and small ooh position in the larynx, as opposed to a wide spoken position. Ooh, ooh, as opposed to ah, ah. You can build the other vowels around this ooh position. A brief word about the type of ooh that narrows the larynx. If you sing a pure ooh, you will sense that the larynx has a certain tonicity. This feeling of tonicity is extremely important for the high voice. So it's not just any kind of ooh, right? Where you can say ooh and go ooh. That's an ooh, but it's not the right kind of ooh. I'm looking for an ooh that has real strong resonance. Ooh. It's a very small sound. This one more clip. So this is Jack Li singing from O Paradiso, Maya Bears Africana in Italian. He sings his high note on this ooh position, and I want you to hear the tonicity of the sound, how wonderfully resonant it becomes, and you can sense the narrowness of the larynx and how resonant it becomes as a consequence. Listen to this. Hear that ooh? Ooh. It's just a really small position.